We experience this world through our five primary senses. And also, we make decisions based on the sensory satisfaction as well as the thoughts which are related to the senses and feelings, of course. And is there other way to make a decision? Think about it, and we will get back to that a little later. Hi, I'm Karthikeyan, and welcome to Oneness. Today is day 12, and we will be looking at verse 12 from Tao Te Ching. And as usual, let's observe a few seconds of silence before we start. Thank you. So now let's look at verse 12 from Tao Te Ching. Here we go. The five colors blind the eye. The five tones deafen the ears. Five flavors dull the taste. Racing and hunting madden the mind. Precious things leads us astray. Therefore, the wise are guided by what they feel and not by what they see. Letting go of that and choosing this. Let's observe a moment of silence. All right. So this verse clearly talks about how we get satisfaction out of the primary senses and completely blind about our intuitive self. So the Lao Tzu in this verse talks about the senses in the first para, and then second, he talks about how we should follow the intuitive self. And that's what the verse 12 is all about. So now let's dive in and look at each line and try to interpret what Lao Tzu would have meant. The five colors blind the eye. The five tones deafen the ear. The five flavors dull the taste. Racing and hunting madden the mind. Precious things lead us astray. So the first paragraph clearly talks about your senses and how the excess of sensory dependency can make us blind, deafen, and dull. So here we need to understand that the five colors he talks about are the primary colors. Especially in the Chinese tradition, they talk about green, red, yellow, black, and white as the primary colors. And also when you talk about five tones, they talk about five notes, which is C, D, E, G, A. And the five flavors are nothing but sweet, bitter, salty, pungent, and sour. So what happens when you have a beautiful painting but an excess of colors? All the primary colors are popping out. There is the white, black, yellow, and green and red are all bright colors. What if a painting or art which is excess of these colors? This will strain our eyes to see that art itself. So instead of enjoying the beauty of an art, we will get strained by the popping colors. So that's what he means in the first line. The five colors blind the eye. And the second one, the five tones deafen the ear. And as simple as that, when you're listening to, say, orchestra. So the orchestra is a different instruments that are played at a different times. Though they may play all together, but it cannot go for a long duration because that will deafen our ears. So instead, everything got its place. Even if it is a tone or the music, it has to have its own silence. That's the second line. The third line, the five flavors dull the taste. A craftful chef will know that how to mix these in the right proportion so that we can distinguish one taste from the other instead of the excessive of all the tastes coming together. So that's what he talks about. Five flavors dull the taste. Racing and hunting madden the mind. So excessively when we race and hunt for these kind of the sensory satisfaction, that will make our mind go mad. So instead, we have to stay away from the sensory satisfaction alone, not to the excess. Instead, tune within. And the last line of the first paragraph, the precious things lead us astray. So when we go in search of a precious things or a wealth or a fame or a power, what happens is it can lead us in a wrong path. That's what he means by precious things lead us astray. And then we come to the second part. Therefore, the wise are guided by what they feel and not by what they see. Letting go of that and choosing this. So what here they mean by letting go of that and choosing this is, the letting go of what they see and choosing this is embracing the inner intuitive self. So in another translation, the second part goes like this. Therefore, the sage attends to the belly and not to what he sees. He rejects the latter and chooses the former. So here he says, a sage will reject what he sees and choose the former, which is belly. So clearly, the belly is very interesting thought. The belly is a centermost part of the human body. So that can also be called as centering with oneself. How to be self-centered or looking within is what it means. I'm also sure that you must have heard about gut feeling or a hunch. So what it is nothing but a different word or different choice of usage for intuition. So now what is intuition? In my understanding, the intuition is a collective consciousness of what we go through, maybe from a past experience, learnings, feelings, emotions, and etc., and combined together in an unexpressible way of a feeling within. That is a very complex feeling which doesn't come out naturally, which we cannot even articulate with words. But then we know within that's inner feeling of what it is. And that's what we can call it as a gut feeling or an intuition or intuitive self. So most often, whenever we want to make any decision in our life, we listen to our mind. If we listen to facts, data, thoughts, or even some kind of a goals that we set randomly. And then we fail to stay still and look within for answers. Because the nature of intuition is that it comes to help us. Whenever we listen to it, it talks to us to help us. And also, we can only hear it when we are in absolute silence. A meditation is one of the practice to help us to seek the answer within rather than seeking it outside. And that intuition most likely always true. Say for an example, if someone is in a relationship where they are not really happy, but then to just move out of the relationship, if they have to think excessively, they may not find an answer. So what will happen if I let go of the person? So what happens is, just because they don't know the answer, they refuse to listen to their inner feeling of you are in a toxic relationship or the relationship that you don't want and you have to move out of it. Instead, just because they don't know what is going to be ahead of them in the future, they're just still stuck with the old relationship. So that's why it is important to listen to our intuition within. And for that, obviously, we have to be in silence to listen to that voice, the inner voice, which is crying to be heard and telling us you have to make the decision now. So this also can be looked at in sometimes we get urged to buy new things in our life. Though our inner intuition will be crying to tell us that you don't need it, but then we'll refuse it because we are hooked to the sensory satisfaction that, oh, this cloth will look nice on me. I will look so good. Oh, look at this material. It feels so silky. Or what people will talk about me if I wear this cloth and go, or if I have this gadget. So we are looking for a sensory satisfaction so that we make our decision based on that. So instead, we have to be more self-intuitive. So we listen to the intuitive self. Most often, that will not go wrong. So with that, we come to the end of verse 12. And one actionable thought for today is, during today, if you have to make any decision, it can be a very small decision of what to eat for your next meal, or it can be some other decision that you're going to make. Instead of thinking, go silent and just trust your inner self and ask for inner guidance and just listen to your intuitive self. Most often, the answer that you will hear, it is what you really want instead of what your mind and thoughts and senses are talking to you and telling you to do, so that you can be guided by your intuitive self. With that, we come to the end of day 12 and see you tomorrow. Thank you.